good to go whenever you like.
Yeah, I'm ready.
And we've got the live stream going as
Oh,
well.
look at that.
So
Yeah.
we'll be able to push people to it. The people that are sick can have a look at that as well.
Oh, that'd be lovely. Yeah.
So in terms of that, if you can just make sure that you speak into the microphone wherever possible.
Yeah.
Do you want a headset mic?
Well, we can, but all of us we can use them. We can take it off, isn't it?
If you just take it off, it's
Yeah.
about that far from your mouth.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Doctors went with their partners and got involved in the
Hello, Heather.
Hello, thank you. Yes.
Good to see you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Are you going to listen to us?
Yeah, no, we're going to wait until you're down at Seacliff.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
'cause you'll be down
I
there,
haven't expected you here.
No, well, I was just saying to Drew, I sort of realised this morning, because we often come in the morning, just about every week, but here it's like, we often go away and think, oh, just it'd be nice to be, that be our church, and I think, no, this is our church.
Yeah.
That's our place of service and work.
Yeah.
And commitment, and we've been there for 30 years. This is our place that God gives us to come, relax, enjoy, not do anything, but just fellowship. It's wonderful.
Right. And it's not, the church is more, not so much what can I get out of it, but also
Exactly.
what does God want me to actually do in this
Exactly.
place.
Yeah. And so he meets us here in the Word and in fellowship, but he meets us down there in our works of service and the Word and in fellowship down there.
Yeah. Good on you. Well, we come to Seacliff on the 22nd, I think.
Lovely. Excellent.
So,
Yeah.
and that'll be
In the evening, 4 o'clock.
Yeah. Look forward to it. No worries. Thank you. No, you can start off because
Sorry?
you have to speak in here.
Okay. I think we might just get started, I suppose. Good afternoon, morning still. What we're hoping to do is talk about MAF, Mission Aviation Fellowship, and our roles in that, and also go a little bit, a couple of videos and some slides. So firstly, again, we would like to thank you, and we didn't read this out, but it says, I thank my God in all my remembrance of you, always in every prayer of mine for you all, making my prayer with joy because of your partnership in the gospel from the first day until now. So we've been in PNG now for 4.5 years, and we're very thankful for your support and prayer in all those things we do. I'll skip this one because we touched on it earlier today, and I think you know that by now. If you don't, that we've got some leaflets as well, which you can take home, and I'm sure it is mentioned. Sorry? Next door. Okay, there you go. This video I'm going to skip as well because you saw that. Now, in case you're not aware where PNG is, it's just straight above us. If you keep on flying straight up north and a very little bit to the east, then you get to PNG. You can see there a little red dot at the north of Australia, Arnhem Land, where MAF is also flying. So they are a community, Aboriginal community, which has got very dispersed and isolated, and they also are supported by MAF. So that's the Australian bit, if you like. All the red other countries are serviced from MAF International. So that's MAF Australia, MAF UK, if you like. So within PNG, this gives you a picture of the country. In the middle, you see Mount Hagen, where you see the red aircraft. That is where we've got bases. So we've got 11 aircraft, one amphibious plane recently, about 1.5 years, which flies primarily here in the south, where you see Balimo. It can't actually land in Balimo, but it can land on the river next to Balimo. The runway in Balimo is not sealed, so you can't just put a float plane there. But a lot of our other aircraft are there. Port Moresby is not connected by road to any of those other places. There's basically the mountain range, which is limiting a lot of transport. And in the middle, you've got the highlands, yes. It says there are 266 airstrips. About 50 years ago, we flew to around 500 airstrips. Nowadays, it's about half of those because the other half how do I say this nicely, if you like, PNG is not necessarily, economically speaking, going too well. So you can see that actually maintenance of airstrips is difficult. And even though there are still communities in those 500 airstrips, there are only 250 that are still open, if you like, because of sufficient support to keep them open. But those communities we serve, there comes a little video from Ruth, I think. This is Brian for opening of a new airstrip. Yes, I can talk through this while it goes. So you can see there on the strip of the mountain, the airstrip. This community has been trying to build that airstrip for 40 years. And this is the first time an aircraft comes in from MAF. And the pilot is very happily greeted by the community. So why are they so happy? First of all, the act of labor of 40 years, all manual labor to build this airstrip. So of course some years they would not have done anything because other concerns, but now it means an aircraft can go in, which means a school can be supplied with exams at the end of the school year, which means you can get a teacher to teach the community. It means you can get goods in. You might have a trade store. That will actually help the church as well, because people will actually stay there and not leave. And the pastors can be picked up to go to training in Mount Hagen or convention that different churches do at different times of the year. That's one of the big prayer points. If you want to pick one up, is about the teaching of pastors in many of the churches, irrespective of what church you talk about. Because access is so difficult, and that is where MAF then we provide subsidies to pastors to allow them to travel more cheaply and go to conferences away, which is then affordable. You can see Ryan being crowned, if you like. So the community is just so thankful that that aircraft comes in. So they're all little things we do as MAS. So we want to support communities in when they open a new airstrip. They very often can't afford the first flight, if you like, because there's no goods on it. It's an empty aircraft. So we do that for free, if you like, or we ask them 500 kina, which is $200, so that they show commitment, if you like. So MAF is involved in many different things. One of them is health with regards to patrols. A lot of pregnancy-related medical evacuations happen, and Diana will probably touch on that a little bit. And here's an example of where medical evacuation relates to Compium Hospital, where Diana works as a doctor, and a particular patient that actually at the operating room. So I won't keep on talking, I'll show you.
Yarim renge sebindo na ba makande. Amblo pero no ibo viendo me kanu linse dan tudo. Edemo bule rinse bendo. Eya namba kumura sia. So ibo ndaga sigen da so rimbo kumura ya sia. No namba kumura so building sido inse dan bu tu binse bayang do posiro yamo dokta ni mandagam bulanye bolde yamnya le gando dulbe ere mi mam gumara ya so eba siganda paria paru eba mon lengere do ngoren nambi am lengere do eba paria paru da eba bul da ebe do ebe do ne ba nam do bien bukan men masana angkor ni sin on dunia kong kita.
So yes, a good example where a life is being saved because we're able to reach the people. So isolation means different things for different people depending on where they are. But Compium Hospital, we've got patients who walk 2 days, 3 days, or even up to a week to get to the hospital. So support of the church is another important aspect. I touched on it a little bit. As it says, there are mission events and supporting missionaries to take the gospel to remote people groups. So we fly a lot of other mission organization people to the locations where they need to be, either for Bible translation or other specific work they do. And that might be the people, or it might be their groceries, if you like. It could be anything. Now, we also do a lot of commercial stuff because the locals like their Coca-Cola as well, if you like. But that basically raises funds to then be able to support the mission and health and education work. So Bible Mocks ministry, I think we touched on that 2 years ago quite extensively. That is a challenge. And I now use the example, if you go to Mount Hagen, the only bookshop there, or the only Christian bookshop, but I would say the only bookshop, has got a bookshelf full of books, which is less than what I own here in Adelaide, if you like. And that is for a community with a radius of 200 kilometers at least. That's all that's available, if you like. So it's not easy to get your hand on a Bible, and we're able to bring them in. Pilots, when they land in remote communities, they can sell those Bibles and audio Bibles, which is very important because of illiteracy. So audio Bibles are a big ask. This gives a good example of remoteness and the work under the church.
We are the Baptist Church pastors. My name is Pastor Silas Cumming.
My name is Simon Makam. We are going today to Iqbal. It's a church day. They want us to go and have a weekend Easter ministry out with them. Our Easter topic for this traveling for our ministry is salvation. Jesus came down to this earth to save us.
If the MIV is not available, we cannot go to the EP. You can walk from here to EP, take you about 3 or 4 weeks to walk. It's a long way. When I was a young man, I walked from here to EP. Today, easy for us because of the MIV is here to help the work of the church.
So apart from that, it's also a lot of community building. I think I touched on that, Eddie. Yeah, right. And that includes bringing exams and things like that, and students as well when they go back to the communities. This is an example of, in this case, some of the spouses of some of our pilots helping the local community women's. So I'll show you that.
Siobhan, Mandy and I were able to go last week to the ladies' conference at Elipderman. One of the things we were able to do there was to give out education and give out Days for Girls packs. And it was really encouraging. We gave out 100 packs. All the packs that we had, we gave out, and there was, you know, for every girl that we gave a pack to, there would have been 6 that would have wanted a pack. So there was a lot of interest, and there's a lot of need. It was really good to be able to also give them education just generally about their periods, because it's not really something that they talk about here in PNG, and to be able to answer any questions, to have like a safe place where they could do that. That was also really good. Joyce and Vero helped us out, which was really great to have their perspective on it as well. I actually sat through one of Vero's sessions and I changed the way I explained it after that, because she, obviously being Papua New Guinean, could think of things that I didn't, like the fact that you know, someone might use it to wipe plates, you know, because it's like, oh yeah, someone would think that the inside rag might be good for wiping plates, or to tell people, you know, to let it dry completely out before you use it again. 2 very godly women who are very, very ministry minded. They really want to be able to help the people here. They've been using the Days for Girls packs themselves, so they have a lot of experience that they can share in how to use those. So it was really invaluable having their help there.
displa all something aste you pla like ni mi pla. Plus mi pla ni dim displa kain. Sampla something mi kisimba mi ko lo house na like ni mol pikini ni blom mi wantem man dom mi. Long wonem kain school mi pla you pla like ni mi pla ba mi pla like ni mol ken. Kisi mol tool si go beken or something you pla gibi mi pla kari mi go. Aba mi like ni mol pikini ni. All nu pla yang pla all American.
Thank you.
So apart from that, of course, as an organization, flying aircraft, we only want to fly to places where it's really needed because aviation is expensive. We've got around 130 staff. Most of them are 100 national staff and around 30 expatriates. But of course, they have, when you start bringing in people, they come with a family. So then we think about, oh, we would like to have a teacher as well because we want to have a school. Oh, and they need to live somewhere. And when they live somewhere, things break down. So we need maintenance. And they like to drive from A to B. Oh, we need a vehicle. So you can see it adds up because the local services are not of a standard that you can rely on. So you start doing that yourself. So this gives a little impression of some of the internal work within MAF. And colleagues of ours in Mount Hagen, this is.
We fix broken electrical things at our facilities.
And vehicles. We fix broken plumbing at our facilities too.
And vehicles.
We fix wooden parts of our facilities too.
And vehicles.
We fix leaks in our facilities too.
And vehicles.
We care about fixing things. We're rebranding the PBM team. We are now called Facilities
and Vehicles.
Yes, so that is an important part of the work as well, which you don't see, of course, because it's all internal. So what we like to do is just some of our personal experiences as well, as we go through our daily work. So I've just been appointed as General Manager Aviation, which basically involves anything that has to do with aviation. So there at the top it says Flight Operations, which is about pilots. So we've got around 18, 19 pilots at the moment, 2 national pilots, 20 actually, 2 national pilots and 18 expatriates pilots. And we're trying to train also more national pilots because we don't see ourselves, God willing, this service is provided through national staff in the future. So we want to train them. So crew training is important. And also our flight booking and customer service. I would say if we would have double the fleet that we have, the demand is there because there is so much need. There used to be other organizations flying there. That's not the case. We're kind of the single one who go to small little communities. So we, of those 250 airstrips, I would say that 200 are, MAF is the only part who actually reaches those people. So without us, they will be walking for a week or two to get to places. The other aspect of my role is quality and safety, of course. I mean, it's very important in any kind of profession, but especially with aviation. And we've also trained engineering staff. So our 15 engineers, 2 of them expats and 13 national staff. So that's similar as the pilots, if you like. And ground operations, getting fuel to the locations from where we fly is a challenge. Yes, it's a relief coming here to Australia and you just order something and the next day it's delivered. Something like that takes you 6 weeks and a lot more phone calls, let's put it that way. There you come.
Yes, so I think so far, Jeroen and I have very different jobs. Jeroen obviously working for the MAF General Manager. He is quite often in Mount Hagen. That's where the base is. We live in Compium. The reason why we live in Compium is because there's a hospital there and that's where I can work. So I'd just like to take you with a quite a few slides actually, but I'll go through them quickly about what I do. So before I start, I just want to show where Compium is. It's a beautiful place. I think it's one of the most beautiful places on earth, right in the mountains on a plateau. It's got an airstrip in, and most of the buildings are actually around the hospital. The hospital, I think, is quite clearly visible. There's an international school attached, which has all been started off by Dr. Mills, who's since 2013 left. And the houses around the hospital are all houses for the staff. So what does my typical week look like? There's not really any typical week, but we'll start on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays with a ward round. The ward round is where we go and see every patient. We are on average with between 1 and 3 doctors on site. So in a good time, we have 3 doctors, but actually almost always there'll be only 2 or maybe just 1 doctor available. Like I'm now away for 7 weeks. That means and there's actually the other one's away. So if you see the one that's just behind the pole, the lady there, she's pretty much on her own now. But then the other lady with the stethoscope around her neck actually asked, can I just join you guys for a couple of weeks? And we said, of course you can. That's another one of those things of God's provision. Just brings these people at the right time. So she's there, and the 2 are now actually managing the hospital. We have about 66 beds, and between surgical, medical, and TB, but they're not always full. About 50% is full. We do have many times we have students. So here you can see some students from the UK and Flinders here in Adelaide actually joining us. This is a couple of weeks ago, and our pharmacist in the green shawl. Okay, I might actually just say one more thing. So during the ward rounds, we talk to people, and that is actually quite unique. It's the culture in PNG is quite hierarchical, and it means that many doctors actually don't talk to patients. They just figure out what the disease is and give them medicine, and patients are not actually expected to ask any questions. Just basically take it and go. But people are still all very spiritual in the sense that disease is very closely linked to how they view their faith. So if someone gets sick, the first thing that people would do is find out why they get sick. Because surely if you do follow the Lord, you won't get sick. Isn't that what the Old Testament says? That if you do right and if you do well, then it will go well with you. So if people get sick, it's a real challenge to say, what did I do wrong? So people go and think and they confess their sins, which I think is actually a good thing. We can learn from that. And then if their sickness doesn't get better, they will get the family together and they'll pray and they expect it will get better then. But if it still does not get better, they're in a real hard place because they get fearful, they get worried, and they get often blamed by their family of not having confessed enough. So that's when we can actually sit with patients and we can pray with them and we can actually say, well, really, look at the story of Job in the Bible. It's not always like that. You can be sick and still God loves you, and God has everything sorted out in His plan about your life. He knows that He was there at the beginning, He will be there at the end, and He knows what you need and what you need to go through as well for His kingdom and His glory. So that is something that can be, and people really, really feel encouraged if we can pray with them. Another really big privilege really is that every year we get students from the University of Papua New Guinea. So about 8 to 10 young people come and join us at the beginning of the year, stay with us the whole year, and then leave us at the end. So that is actually 20% of the whole cohort that will graduate that year. So we have all them come to us, and we have the privilege of nurturing their young minds, their young hearts, to show them that being a doctor in PNG doesn't mean you're going to dismiss your patient. It means you can actually sit down with them, pray with them, care for them, and treat them as your own father, your own mother, which is actually not the way most of these students have been have been experiencing that through their only sort of short career. So that's a privilege. It's also, unfortunately, because of that hierarchy, many students already have some sort of trauma. Not from this group, but from a previous group, one guy came out and he said, look, last year I was just put on the obstetric ward. The registrar was nowhere to be seen. He was a medical student. He just had to fix all kinds of problems, people with seizures, people with obstructed labor, and the consultant was not going to be coming. He could not ring the consultant without being really angry, shouted about. So that is very hard, and that's a situation you don't want any doctor to be in, certainly not any medical student who is not even responsible. But you also don't want young doctors to practice on patients, and that's the environment that then will emerge, that people will just do the best they can and make mistakes at the expense of patients. So that's the environment some come out, and then what we want to show them in Compium to say, well, actually, we care for our patients and we do not want you to do anything that you are not accredited to. If you do not feel that you are equipped to do a certain procedure onto your sister or your mother, then don't do it on our patients. Come and ring us, we get our help, we show you, and then you can learn how to do it properly. And that takes a little bit of convincing, In the beginning, we came to the ward round and a student proudly said that they delivered twins overnight. And I said, this is absolutely outside the books. I don't want you to do that on your own. And it went well, fortunately, but it could have gone horribly wrong. So since last year, we had Dr. Sarah, who joined us. Dr. Sarah is a YWAM doctor. She's not formally accredited, but she's been a godsend, honestly. So the medical students don't just need clinical teaching, they also need to do presentations, case report, link up with Port Moresby. So there's a lot of that administrative and behind the scenes work needed, and Sarah is doing all of that. So she spends almost, from her time, she still works a little bit for YOM, but most of the time she's on site, works with the students, guides them, teaches them, and she just loves them. So she's really taken them on as her own children, really, and that's certainly relieved me a lot from that work. So last year I really only had to worry about the clinical side of things. All the other bit was done by Sarah. We teach them other things too. Here they're sewing curtains. They just loved it. And then there's a time of coming and going. Here they're going again at the end of the year, ready for their exams. Yeah. And then another amazing thing is people don't often like to come to Compium. It's an area known to, they're surrounded by fighting, so it's not seen as safe. But then when they come, all of them, they say they have never felt so safe in a place. And I think it's because they're obviously not from the local tribes. They are seen as guests. Engans are known to be very friendly towards outsiders, and that shows. In Port Moresby, they are not safe. They can't just walk on the street. But here in Compium, they can, and it's actually really quite a blessing to them. We teach nursing staff every week. And so that still goes on. And obviously, where MAF links again with us, we do patrols every second week. We go with a group to even more remote places, usually sort of towards the north of Compium area, Enga. We go as far into the southern East Sepik and the southern Madang provinces, just because there is no healthcare there. And then we usually go 2 days. We take a team and do children immunizations, health education, pregnancy care, normal clinics, dental work sometimes. There's often, if we can, we show the Jesus movie in the evening, if it's not raining, that is, yeah. That's one of the clinics here. You can see the kids' scales on the tree. Yeah. And that was in the East Sepik. So what the pictures don't show, it's really muggy and it's hot and there's many mosquitoes. And one of the students doing clinic. And this is what we get to eat. I can only take one picture of that because we always eat the same when we are on patrol, and that's rice with noodles on top of it, and then maybe a bit of greens, and then either some tin fish or a corned beef on the top. And they are amazingly big meals, okay? So the plates may look like standard plates, but they're actually really big. So should be enough for one day. Yeah. It's a muddy place. Yeah. And you sleep under a mosquito net, otherwise you take home malaria, which we are not intending to. Theatre days are on Tuesdays, and on Thursdays we do different kinds of procedures. And if you can see in the corner at the back, you see someone sitting there, and that is actually a family member. So because particularly in our area, it's quite a volatile area, and people, if they get angry, they can retaliate quite nastily, in the sense that nastily is that's the way or how the tribal justice works, but it usually means either by severe injury or being killed. So because theatre and doing anything is such a strange environment, which you cannot really explain to anyone who's never been there, we always take a family member in when they come, when we do any theatre case, just to show what we're doing, that they're there. If there's any need for question halfway, we can ask a family member. Yeah, so you'll see this picture again in a minute. Dr. Kwame is our dentist. She's, I just needed a picture of her. We do work a lot together. And there's a little kiddie who had a septic arthritis. We're just flushing out a joint there. And theatre team. Now, this story about Nossi, it's similar to Ruth's story. Ruth, that you saw, was shot in her abdomen and came to Compium. Nossi was a little girl of about 7 years of age who was walking into the bush with her mum and her little sister to go to the garden, and a wild pig came and gored her abdomen. Now, this picture I've cut off because actually it shows her bowels being outside her belly, and I didn't think it was appropriate for the kids here. Maybe some of the adults might not want to see it too. So, but she's actually far away. So it would be more than a 2-day walk, okay? So if there was no way for her, if she would not have been able to be evacuated, she would have died a slow, horrible death, okay? And walking, is the family going to walk her for 2-3 days over 2 big mountain ranges to come to us? They probably would have, but she would have been in a very bad condition by that stage. So we told the health worker there to wrap it all in some moist cloth and keep it clean. And then MAF came and picked her up and brought it to us. So we did operate on her and put everything back in where it's supposed to be. And then this is this is after for her recovery. So she recovered really well after that. So we're not just doing work in the hospital, we're also doing, there's a church community that we attend, some baptisms at the Baptist church, which are always really, really encouraging. Afterwards, there's meals. Nothing in PNG happens without food, a lot of food. So there you go. But this is a church that we attend, and you can see we're actually sitting on the floor for the 2 or 3 hours that the service lasts. So no one can complain here about sitting in benches or sitting on harder floors. We just earlier touched base with Kathleen, who said that some of the benches are quite hard in Seacliff, but there you go. So our closer community, we do have a small community with some non-PNG, they are PNGs, but non-local people, and that's the community we most commonly sort of meet with. They meet on the Thursday nights for Bible study, on the Saturday nights for dinner, on the Sunday nights for Bible study. So for Bible study, it's more a worship night, really. And Dr. Kami is the Indian dentist missionaries in the middle. The others, and then Jeroen, obviously, the others are all PNGers. On the right is Dr. Rebecca. So she is the other main consultant who works in the hospital with her daughter, Bina. And then it's the outgoing principal of the school, Megwin, and the incoming principal of the school, Leslie. And Leslie's brother happened to be there as well. So this is just celebrating Kami's birthday. On Tuesdays, I do Bible study with all the women that are waiting in a waiting house. Because we serve so far away communities. These women have to stay with us in some of the waiting houses until their babies are born, and they can be there for weeks. So we take a Tuesday night, we have a Bible study with them. And on MAF, this is a weekend with MAF was October last year. That's a group from a church in Nelson, New Zealand that came and encouraged us, talked about prayer. And it's really encouraging to actually be together as MAF family, because we all live in different places, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Compium, Telefomen. So very often, certainly the spouses don't see each other, and Jeroen will see a bit now, he travels a bit more, but otherwise you can live for months and months apart. So it's actually a really very encouraging time to catch up with each other. Now you may get, okay, that doesn't need to play, Josua. It does this one. So you may remember, you guys have, that there's quite a lot of wars around our area, lots of tribal fighting, and in that light of tribal fighting, it just means that that there's a movie that's being made, and the movie is it's not quite finished, but in that whole program, there were some people from the movie making who came to Compium during Independence Day to shoot some more footage. And with that, it coincided that a team from YWAN also came out to do some peace talks. Now, so they have made a little of a 7-minute video of the peace talks that's been happening in Compium, which is really encouraging. So are you guys still up for a 7-minute video? Yeah? Okay. Okay, I'll take it as a yes. So it's... It's on the escape behind. Yeah.
During the week of Papua New Guinea's independence, there was a 2-day workshop of Belisi Stadlomi. On the first day, we gathered in a classroom of the Compium Primary School. Pastors, missionaries, ayamen, addicts, the elderly and the youth, male and female, from 9 different tribes of Compium Station. Some of the tribes have been enemies for generations, but we were all in the same room to talk about Belisi, peace. The film team from YWAM Norway and Compium District Hospital are producing a docudrama about the tribal fights affecting Compium and Enga province. The film showings will be part of the Belisi Start Lomi program. As the people of Compium gather to celebrate 50 years of PNC's independence, we watch a special short version of Tayo Kailabai Silang, a film in the making on how violence has changed the way we live. Compium is a beautiful place, but when tribes fight, many people are killed. Enga province has seen many fights in all districts in the last 10 years. Many men, women, and children have died.
I think God has things He wants to say about the fighting. I think God wants to speak to all of us.
We are tired of fighting. We want peace. Peace starts with love. That's what we learned at the peace meeting. If you don't take the first step to say hello, you cannot talk about peace.
This game is so amazing because it is so much like peacemaking. No, everyone needed to work together.
We talked about the pain. We also talked about how much it means to care and listen to each other.
Fighting all the time, violence everywhere.
We all know people who are experts in fighting. They are called Andakari. But who we need now are Akemakali. A Pogadan word for a person of peace. If we want peace, we must be ready to help each other, every man, woman, and child. We were asked to go back home and talk to our family, friends, and clans, and bring more people who are ready to become an Akemakali. The next day, over 100 people came. There was not enough space in the school, so we had to meet in a bigger place. Some people were nervous because they didn't know what to expect.
We have come from many tribes from around the world to bring a gift of peace.
As we began to say our dreams and hopes for Combiam, we all became more relaxed as we had fun with people from the different tribes. We laughed together, listened together, and ate together. We talked about how we must be careful about gossiping and the power of our words.
How many of you would like to have peace? And real peace in your heart. How many of you would like to go to sleep at night with no blood on your hands? And I want you to think of every person that you want to get revenge of.
We were asked to forgive each other, and that is something very hard.
There's only one way to peace. It's forgiveness.
If we want peace in anger, we have to forgive.
If you cannot forgive, you cannot have peace.
We ask God to take away our anger and the desire for payback.
Think of everyone, every person that has harmed you. Even from the long past.
We asked for forgiveness and did our best to forgive. We grieved over the many people who have been killed, over the blood that has been spilled because of revenge. And something happened that day that never happened before. All 9 tribes joined hands to pray for Combiam, and each tribe prayed for the other tribes to bless them. And as we prayed, it started to rain. We know that God is doing something amazing in Combiam. He is bringing peace to our land. He is working through people who are willing to die for peace instead of revenge. We do not have to wait for money and big men to make plans for peace. We don't need to wait many years for peace to come to our lands. Peace starts today. Peace starts with me. Nam Akemarash.
So that's a fairly recent thing. If you want to see this video again, it's just Belisi Start Lumbi on YouTube, so you guys can always find. But it's just a very special thing that's happened, and as simple as getting people together in one room.
This brilliant device keeps your home cool in summer, even during heat waves and power outages.
Yeah, just to get people actually in one room and see each other as a person. not an enemy, has been so powerful. So yeah, that's some really beautiful and encouraging things are happening, not necessarily with the hospital, but behind the scenes. Can you, Nick? So what our prayer has been for Compium is to, this prayer from Acts 26 is that their eyes will be opened, okay, and that they will see the light and will believe and be saved. And that's been our prayer for the many years now that we've been there, and we will continue to pray that because. So we have had some family things as well for you guys to, you can see here our most handsome, beautiful kids. And this is during Anna's graduation, which we came back for. And since then, David is about to graduate. Yep, there you go. They came and visited us at the end of 2024. And they had some real Momo experience, and we did some walks. And here they are going back again. Last year, maybe went back to the Netherlands briefly to attend Jeroen's mum and dad's 60th wedding anniversary, which was like a real blessing to see them as well. So what's going to happen for the next couple of years? I guess we don't know. Jeroen is just a new job as GMA, so please pray for him. It's a very different and much more extensive area, so he would very much appreciate your prayers. And I will just continue to think what I've been doing, I guess. But we know that the Lord's put us there, He will lead us, and we expect to be back, God willing, on 2028. So if you'd like to keep in touch, our prayer cards are on the table at the back. Also a white sheet that you can sign up in legible email, please, otherwise it won't arrive. So then you can get our quarterly newsletter, and that sort of keeps you guys up to date if you like. For anyone who read our last newsletters, I just want to let you know I'm fine. I just needed to get a few things off my chest, and I happened to write it up, and then it ended up becoming our newsletter. So people have been worried about my mental health, I suppose, but that's, writing it up will help. And things are not always, things go wrong as well, and it's sometimes good to share that as well. So if you guys are curious, you can read it. It'll be on our Facebook, or we can give you a link to the last newsletter. So how can you help us if you like? So please continue to pray for us. You can email, WhatsApp us. We find it really, really encouraging if we hear from you guys, and consider monetary support if you're able to with a regular gift. There you go. Thank you very much for listening. You guys did well. I think we stayed, that was 45 minutes, I think, but sorry. Thank you. If there's any questions, feel free. Any questions from anyone? I've been all clear. Yeah.